Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking about vet school application tips today, and trust me, I've probably applied about 4 or 5 times myself, been rejected about 4 times myself, so I've got a lot of experience under my belt at this point. I'll tell you about some things that I wish I had known prior to applying and everything else I've learned along the way. So if you're interested, please stick around, like and subscribe and come along. Now, the number one thing that sticks out to me that I wish I had done a lot sooner was getting experience. I think I really underestimated just how important this would be, not just for your vet school application, but now going into vet school, I'm finding how much easier it is to understand certain concepts when you've actually seen the real world application already. But more about actually applying itself, it is really important to get experience because it looks a lot better on your application.
Nice.
Mind you, I know a lot of people in vet school that have gotten in without any kind of experience, so this is not the be all and end all, however it does help a lot in your application. What vet schools particularly do like to see is diversity in all of your experience, so a little bit with small animals, a little bit with large animals, some with exotics. They love to see that you've tried out a lot of different enterprises, and they also love to see a bit of diversity in the sense of some of it was paid work, whether it be a job at a clinic, and some of it was volunteer work at a shelter, because that shows that you do have passion outside of just being paid. And while you build up all these experiences, you're also building up connections, a lot of the time with vets that can help you along the way. They really help to bounce ideas off of and also just get a lot of advice. But not only that, they really help when you want to get letters of recommendation. This is another point that I highly recommend when going into vet school applications. The majority of my applications did not include these at all because I didn't know that that looked better on your application, and most of the universities that I applied to do not require it. However, I've since learned that universities absolutely love to see a letter of recommendation. If you can get multiple, even better. And if you can have at least one from a vet themselves, even better.
Let's do this.
And when you're building up all this experience, that is when you will likely get the opportunity to build these connections with vets and with people that can give you these good letters of recommendation. So of course, my third point is to make sure you've got all your prerequisites done. I did not realize until later in my undergraduate degree that I did not do some of my prerequisites, so I had to work backwards and redo them.
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
This just made university a lot more stressful than it needed to be in my final year. And of course, this kind of goes without saying, but because vet school is so competitive, marks do unfortunately matter, so try to get the best marks you can. However, when I say that, I did not get the best marks in everything. I barely passed chemistry, I hated chemistry, it's just not for me, and I'm still in vet school now. It might take you a bit longer sometimes, or you might have to go on a slightly different path to others, but if it's what you want to do, you'll get there one way or another. So as much as I say try to get the best marks ever, don't also beat yourself up the whole time if you're not getting 100% in every mark, because that's just unrealistic. Now, something I did for my later applications was I undertook some small courses that weren't too expensive. So for example, I did an RSPCA first aid course, and this was just an online module that you could flick through really quickly, and most of the time you just have to do a quiz at the end that's really quick to get through. But what's good about those is you get these little certificates right at the end that you can attach to your application, and it does just add a bit of extra something on there. And of course, if you do work in a clinic or a shelter or anything and you get recognition such as Employee of the Month, include that. Include anything you can absolutely think of like that. Anything that will make you stand out, you might as well put it in. So of course, I do have to add in to ace your Casper exam, which, side note, if you don't get the top quartile Casper exam, I again know so many people that got into vet school without that top quartile. However, if you do want to bolster your application as much as possible, it does help to ace your Casper exam. And I'm 100% not saying that you should sit there doing practice exam questions every single day leading up to your exam, because I honestly just think that's really unrealistic considering how much we already have to do. It is overall less about study and more about knowing exactly what they want to hear. And if you are interested in watching a video about acing your Casper exam, I did make one myself, so go check that out. Another thing that most vet schools will force you to do is to write a personal statement. Now, every single one that I wrote was completely different from the next one. I always got different questions, everything, and I know some schools don't even have a prompt. But just as general advice, don't just tell them what they want to hear. They are used to hearing the cliches. I've been wanting to be a vet since I was a small child, yada, yada, yada. Even if that is true, because that's true for me, that's not usually what they want to hear. If you don't get to the end of writing it and go, that is 100% me, you probably need to go back through it. Because overall, I do think the biggest issue with vet school applications is making yourself stand out.
Oi, go, oi, more passion, more passion, more passion, more energy, more footwork.
Because you are just a number to them, and there are so many people that are applying to this highly competitive course. Now, just to add some more general feedback overall, apply to multiple universities. And this might sound really hypocritical coming from me that only ever did 2 universities every application cycle, but apply. Even if you think you're not going to get in, you think it's impossible, it doesn't matter. Just send in an application anyway, because I sent in the University of Melbourne thinking I'm never going to get in, and now that's where I am. Another really important thing when you're finishing up your applications is to seek feedback. One of those being from vets, if you know them. They've had to go through this process likely multiple times and know exactly what it takes to get in. And also ask your friends and family to check it through, because no one knows you like they do, and they can often identify issues or things that you could improve on. And just some final general things that I want to add on that I wish someone had told me earlier was that rejection is almost completely inevitable in this course. I beat myself up for so many years getting rejected, and then when I finally got into clinics and I was talking to vets, I don't think I've met a single vet that has not had at least one rejection at some point. I was always so caught up on thinking that these rejections were a failure and everything, just to find out that it was a common experience that pretty much everyone has gone through. So I think it is way more helpful to know that rejection is almost inevitable. Just know it's a stepping stone and it's not a step back, even if you're struggling in the moment and you're probably rolling your eyes. And last but not least, the main thing that I think I forgot throughout my whole undergraduate degree was to just live in the moment and appreciate how far you've come. I remember when I graduated from my first degree, I was so focused on being rejected from vet school that no single part of me stopped and realized I just finished a degree. So just be proud of your achievements, be proud of how far you've come as it is, and just go for it. If I can say one main thing, it's that every single person in my course has imposter syndrome, so just ignore yours and go for it anyway. So that's it. That's my advice for vet school applications. Please let me know if you enjoyed this content. If you want to see more like this, please like, comment and subscribe. Follow along for the ride. I'm going to be filming my vet school journey, hopefully throughout the whole 4 years. I am also on Instagram if you want to see more frequent updates at becoming Doc Talia. And other than that, thank you all for watching. See ya!